Competition already underway with those fall sports as we shift our focus to the winter in this men's and women's schedule. And Travis, if you could let the fans, the media, everyone kind of into that process a little bit and how this schedule for the upcoming season was constructed.
Yeah, the basketball schedule is probably one of the most complex things that we do in the conference office. This year, we took a little different approach. We're working with an outside scheduler. That process started in early June and just finished up to this point now. So what we really tried to do is keep a 20-game conference schedule. We still have the early weekend in December where the men play after Thanksgiving. The women are a little later. Because of finals week, we're juggling some dates around that, but they're the third week in December. But we really tried to hit on a number of parameters this year and made sure that we accomplished a really balanced schedule with the men. Obviously have to work around school facility conflicts. We have, the Western New York teams, which we try to make sure that our teams, when they go to Western New York, they're playing both Niagara and Canisius, and vice versa when Canisius and Niagara are playing at other sites as well, that they're playing during the same road trip. So trying to balance those different parameters and then making sure that we've got the best complete and fair schedule.
That goes into it, and I think it's great that you can kind of shed some light to that for fans, for people like myself that follow the league. As fans, and as we all will look at this new schedule, how would we and what would we notice about this year's men's and women's schedule that is maybe different from the schedule last year or the previous years?
Yeah, so we're still playing over the course of 11 weeks. This year's a little different in the NCAA basketball calendar. There is one extra week in the schedule. We decided as a conference to stay with our normal dates, so we did not shift our schedule based on that. So that's one thing that's a little unique about this year's schedule. The other thing that we are not going to do this year is play on Super Bowl Sunday. We thought from a fan perspective and from a travel perspective that teams being on the road during that time and then fans having to juggle about coming to the game. We didn't want to have that issue this year. So that's something that we did away with for this year. We're also looking on the women's side of making the ESPNU game a little later start time. So I think that will be beneficial as well. And then our normal parameters. We wanted to make sure that teams weren't playing more than 3 in a row against an opponent, that you're not playing your same opponent on back-to-back weekends, that we aren't playing over winter break, our rivals, when the students aren't in session, and then trying to space out the buys. There's a lot of things, a lot of parameters that you can choose from, but those are the things that we focused on as we built this schedule that were the most important.
So many of those things factor in, like you mentioned, at different times of the year, all the situations on different campuses that are unique. So much goes into it. One thing we know that will stay the same is at the end of the regular season, we're all heading down to Atlantic City for the men's and women's basketball tournament at Boardwalk Hall. We're also excited for that. So knowing you have that at the end of the season, how does that impact the scheduling during the regular season leading up to that conference tournament?
Yeah, so you always try to back your conference schedule into your conference tournament. As you know, we signed a 3-year extension with Atlantic City that puts us there through 2026. Our dates will be the same this year, Tuesday through Saturday, which will be March 12th through the 16th. So again, that's another decision that was made based on our deal with Atlantic City, that they really like to have that Saturday night championship game. So we're working around arena availability. We're working around ESPN television windows. We're working around hotel availability. So there's a number of components that go into that decision as well. It's not just as easy as moving the date. You remember the MAAC traditionally had that Monday television window for their championship for the men and women. So it's something that we'll continue to evaluate as we look at our media rights deal. But right now we're staying put on that championship Saturday night in Atlantic City and then Saturday afternoon for the women.
And it's proven to be a really successful time slot. And we've seen some great men's and women's finals down in Atlantic City. And I know there's so much additional programming built in around that and so much excitement for the season. I know everyone can't wait. We have the schedules coming out. Now we're excited for the games to begin.
We're halfway there. We'll have a tip-off event in Atlantic City in mid-October, which we're excited about, in person at the Ocean Resort. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to promote Atlantic City and to kick off the college basketball season with all of our coaches in Atlantic City and really make that push towards March, even though it'll be October. But really excited for that event as well.